So then guys, Apple have released iOS 17.0.3 and supposedly it's addressed the sort of overheating issues that we've been experiencing with the iPhone 15 models. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if this overheating or heat gate or gate issues, whatever you want to call them, have actually been corrected with iOS 17.03. And the way how I'm going to do this, I have my iPhone 15 Pro Max and it's still on iOS 17.02. Now, if anybody else here owns an iPhone 15 model, you will know that iOS 17.02 came out as a day one release for these models. And then it was quite weird. A few days later, it came out for other models too, like the iPhone 14, 13, 12, and so on. It was quite unusual. It came out a few days later, but we had to have that update first. So that is when I did my last video, if you've seen that, where I did some testing. We were on the same operating system that we're on right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test my iPhone again. We're going to be getting the sort of thermal tester out, and we're also going to be charging up the iPhone at the same time and also running a benchmarking tool to see if we can push this to the limit. Now, at the end of the day, I know that it's been said that, like Instagram is the main kind of cause and problem why it's getting so hot, but I just want to see if any other apps like a benchmarking app and charging, if Apple have actually corrected any of the heating issues. So the best thing we're going to do, first of all, is to actually flick over to basically an over-top sort of camera, again showing the test on iOS 17.02. And the main thing again, guys, is remember we're checking out the difference in heat by 02 and 03. So the iOS two different versions to see if Apple have done two things. One is, have they made the actual chip cooler by pushing it to its limits, and also, at the same time as well, have they actually sort of slowed down the clock speeds at all, made it any more slower to compensate for this, so stop the phone actually overheating? Now, my actual test machine, some of you guys said in my last video that it didn't give a proper accuracy sort of reading because it's got a glass on it and it didn't really work with that, and that I should be testing it in other ways. But the main thing, again, I want to point out is we want to see the difference. Maybe the temperature's not going to be exactly the right temperature, what's going on in the CPU right at that stage, but the difference what we will see with my gauger is the difference between both of them. So obviously we're going to be checking in the same way for both of these recordings. But without further ado, guys, that's enough of me rabbiting on here. Let's now check out iOS 17.02 and the test first of all. So here we are then with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and just to show you here, I've already got it set up, but this is iOS 17.02. So just in case you didn't know, iOS 17.02 actually came out on the day one release with the actual iPhone 15 models. I know a lot of other models since then have got iOS 17.02, and obviously now we've got 17.03 too, obviously what's going to be the claim fix. But just to show you again, just the sort of test I'm going to do here, I do have my official Apple adapter, and this can go up to 35 watts with this one. Obviously, if I plug in two different things into here, it'll split that out, maybe to 18 watts each sort of thing or something like that. But the other thing I want to show you here, I've also got one of these cables too, which will show you how much wattage is going in. The last thing I also just want to show here is that we have got 6% battery at the top there. If you can see that, 6% battery. So we're very, very low before we do all the updates and things like this, before we do the actual benchmarking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close that down for you guys and close down my messages. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually open up again and I can't even say it now, Antutu. I hope I said it correct there, because sometimes I do say it wrong. So it's Antutu, and we're going to run this, and then at the same time as well, we're going to charge up the iPhone, and we're going to see how hot this phone gets. Now, what I do have here, I do have my thermometer with my Fleur sort of thermos thing here. Now, I know some of you guys are going to go, Matt, it's not very good. You're showing it on glass and things like this. It's not going to give you a full representation. But the main thing that we're looking for here, remember, guys, is has it changed? Are we getting a different amount of heat? And also, is the benchmark scoring going to be different after we do the update? Have basically Apple sort of sacrifice power to make it less hot or cause less heat inside this iPhone or not? That is the difference we're going to see, and also to see if the temperature is just basically a bit more lower. So what I'm going to do then, we're going to get started with this test just to show you here then. So the hottest part of the iPhone at the moment is just looking around it. It's about 27 degrees at the moment. So yeah, I'm sure where the processor is, I think it's up here where my finger is, then basically it should probably get a bit more hotter. But just again, we're at 6% battery, and I'm going to plug in now the power into the USB port. And then I don't know if you can see that. We are going up 6 watts, 22 watts. Oh, sorry, wrong way around. 25 watts, 24, 25. About that much is being pumped into the iPhone at this second. So, and there we go. You can see at the top there, we have got the charging icon. We are charging up. We're still sitting at about 24, 25 watts. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically test this phone now with this benchmark and see how hot it gets while charging it, because that will make the battery very hot. And also by thrashing it with this benchmark, we'll also see basically how hot the iPhone will really get. We're already at 7%. So I'm going to get started, and then once we're about halfway through this test, I'm actually going to check with the actual sort of thermos thing here of seeing how hot it is. So let's begin anyway. So we're into the video graphics test at the moment right now, and I just want to show you here quickly, guys, that obviously we are still charging at around about 24, 25 watts thereabouts, still pumping into this actual iPhone 15 Pro Max. So while that's running, let's have a look then what the thermals are at the moment. So I'm probably gonna have to switch this round so you can see it a bit more clearer. So that is definitely the hottest part of the iPhone. So just try and get it a bit more. I'm very good at guiding this, as you can tell. 44 degrees about. Thereabouts. Yeah, about 44 degrees at the moment with that testing. And like I said, I know that it's probably not giving a full representation how hot the chip is right now. But the main thing we want to know is the benchmark going to be less on the next test when we update? And also, will the temperatures to what we're seeing right now, will they be different? Yes or no? That is the main thing that we're looking out here for, to see if the update that Apple brought out has actually made a difference. But I'm going to let the test continue, and when we get near to the end of the test, around about the late 90s or sort of early 90s, we'll do another check again. So the test now is at 92%, as you can see. You just saw there, flash. Let's have a look then to see what the temperature is now then on the iPhone. So I'm just going to flip this round. Let's have a look then. So let me just move the iPhone over 94%. By the way, only 4 watts of power is going in. 7, 8. It's going up and down a bit. 5, 6. It's a low amount. And the battery is at 20% charge. Let's have a look then before this test finishes how hot this iPhone has got then in that time. So like I said, it is quite difficult to get this, but still 43, 44 degrees on there. There we go. I'll tilt it towards you now. Now you can see it, sorry. So there we go, in the top corner. We're talking about 44, 43, yeah, 42 and a half there, sort of degrees, sort of temperature that we have right at the moment on the iPhone 15 Pro Max as this test comes near to an end. In fact, it actually has ended. So obviously it's asking me to rate. And there is our benchmark score there. So you can see there, I'm not going to say that number, it's too long for me to say. But basically, that is the number, what we've got right now. And obviously, if there's a massive difference here when we do an update in a minute, then that's the thing when we're going to be a little bit worried about. Now, obviously, the other thing what I'm going to quickly do is I'm actually going to run this test again, because some of you guys say that when the battery is basically what it is at the moment, about 21% or 20% to around about 40%, this is where you believe the battery gets the hottest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back out and we're going to start this test again, and I'm going to show again when we're getting through the graphical part of the test, we'll do another heat check again, and then also at the same time we'll do a test right near the end, we're in the 90% sort of region, to see again if the battery and also that A17 Pro is really heating up here on basically iOS 17.02. So here we go, we're on, like I say, 21% battery, or 22 there, it's just ticked over. It is warm at the moment. And then also at the same time as well, just to show you here, we've got 21 watts coming in, 24 watts. We're going back up. So it's perfect time to do this test again. And just want to check one more time. Let's see what the heat is saying still on this iPhone. So let's move it over there, about 41 degrees on average, 42 maybe, 41, that kind of sort of number there. So let's now start the test then, and let's start again. Oh, I've got to exit the program, come back out of it, the app. So let's run it again. There we go, we're running now with 23% battery, and it should be charging up at the same time. So let's let this run for a bit. Okay then guys, let's have a look then. So funny enough, the wattage again has dropped right down. We are down to, what was it, just charging at only 9 watts, 7 watts, 7 watts. We're flicking between that 8 watts, there you go. So that is a little bit strange. I'm guessing like today it's controlling the temperature, things like this. It probably knows there's benchmarks running and also the heat here. But let's have a look then. Let's have a look, see how hot this iPhone has really got at this stage. Oh my goodness, that is warm, isn't it? Look at that, 47 degrees. Just go back over to it. Let's have a look. Oh gosh, yeah, 46, 47 degrees where the A17 is at the moment. So yeah, that is getting quite toasty there. So yeah, that is quite warm indeed. So well, like we said, we're going to leave it run now. And when we get to like sort of like 90% again, I'll do another test just before this all ends. But still running at about 8 or 9, 10 watts now again. And so we'll see basically how hot this iPhone will get. So here we are again. We are now in the 90s here. There we go, 92%, 28% battery as well. Let's have a look then to see what the heat is telling us now. So I'm just going to move over. Still about 44, 45 degrees, thereabouts on average. So that's that. And then the amount of wattage that's going in, if you're not too disappointed, is only about 5 to 7 watts going in. Here we are, 96%, 28% battery. So really, to come to think about it, it's actually cooled down a little bit. It's like I said, it's that GPU part that really pushes this. And then obviously we are charging at the same time. So yeah, it's interesting to see what the temperatures have shown us here. And let's have a look then to see what the final benchmark is going to come up as then for this iPhone 15 Pro Max, because I am myself quite interested to see basically what the score will be, what we basically are going to have to do a comparison to. And there we have it. This time's a little bit less than the one we just did a minute ago. So there we go, at the 14 this time, whereas we were in the 15 last time. Maybe that's to do with the temperature, maybe it's to do with the heat, who knows? But like I said, 28% battery on that one, and we charged that from 6% from right beginning of this test. And there we go. Let's record those numbers down. So, wow, that was quite hot. And just to quickly tell you guys, I did actually also pick up the phone afterwards, and it was quite warm around the back here. I must admit that it was quite hot on the back of the iPhone, and yeah, even the front there. So what I decided to do after this then, obviously I updated to iOS 17.03, as you can see here, and you can see here even mentions that this is going to help resolve those warming up issues. So I applied this, and then also what I've done at the same time as well, I have drained the battery on my iPhone around about to 6% again to redo these tests all over again and make it fair. But the only thing I will also comment is obviously I have just updated to iOS 17 0.3. I also have drained down the battery again, and the phone might be still a little bit warm, as you can see in a second. But the main point is it's the maximum heat we want to see what this phone is getting up to see if Apple have kind of sorted out that cooling issue. And like I say again, I'm going to keep repeating myself through this video. Maybe the temperature with my actual gauger is not fully correct in what the actual readings are, but the main thing we want to see, what it can see, is the difference between 17.02 to 17.03 to see if there's any heat changes. So let's now change over and let's have a look. So then here we are again, and as you can see here now on iOS 17.0.3, and as you can see here, it even says here that basically like the actual fixes here addresses problem with heating and things like that. And just to make this test fair again, I've drained the battery down to 6%, as you can see right there. So yeah, we're going to close that down now, and we're going to go back now to Antutu, and same thing again. I'm going to plug in the same sort of charger, and we're going to see the wattage going up on it again. So let's just plug that in and see what that does. So here we go, already seeming to go up there. There we go, already at 25, 24, 25 watts already. So yeah, same sort of thing. Yeah, look, ready at 7% already there. So just to show you here is I'm just going to show a quick thing of how hot this iPhone is already. So I'm just going to move it this way. So funny enough, it's already 36, 37, maybe because I've just done an update. So maybe it's a little bit warm, but obviously the thing what we want to see is how hot it will really get now, the iPhone, by doing the Antutu benchmark. So I'm going to run this benchmark again. And there we go. We've started the benchmark. And same thing again. Basically, we're going to let this go through a bit of the graphics sort of testing here. And then when we get quite near the end of that graphic sort of testing, we're going to do another test then again to see how hot the iPhone is. So again, we're around about that same sort of time when we were doing the sort of testing now. So as we can see here, what we've got going in right now is we've got about 16 watts going into the iPhone, 17 watts. It does feel a bit warm, I'm going to say still. So let's just check the temperature then. Let's see. This is the big thing now. While doing the graphics, how hot is this iPhone? 46 degrees. That doesn't seem much warmer or much cooler, Apple, in my opinion. 45, 46 degrees. Yeah. I'm not fully agreeing here that this has actually fixed this. But let's persist. Let's continue on and let's see then how warm it will get. Like I did say, the phone was warmer, obviously, because I've just done an update before. So obviously it had warmed up a little bit there, but still Apple should be controlling those temperatures inside the actual iPhone better with this update. That's the point. It's to stop it getting hotter than, whatever you throw at it, like sort of a fast charging here, or for example throwing like a benchmark as well. It should be cooler. That is what they're basically promising. But let's see then. Let's move this over then to when the test gets to around about sort of in the 90s like before, and we'll see how hot it is around about there, 90% sort of range again. But just before I do that, I just want to show you here, we're 36% in. I just wanted to lift us up to you. That's 15% charge, or 40% sort of into the test, and 15% charge, just to show you here the rate that we are actually charging up the iPhone. But like I said, when this number here gets into the early 90s, we'll do another heat test and we'll see what the battery charge is and also the wattage that is going in. Just in case you wanted to know, it's about 3 watts at the moment, 4 watts. It's quite low what's going into this iPhone. So yeah, let's just see how it goes though. So then guys, here we are again. You'll see now in the 92% sort of range. We're at 17% battery charge here. And the amount of wattage that is coming in, oh, that is warm. I can feel it under my hand. It's only 4 watts at the moment going into it. I know that's a bit confusing, but let's quickly get a test before obviously this test runs out. Let's see then how hot this iPhone has got. So, gosh, that is still very, very warm indeed. So obviously, yeah, we're still about 44 degrees at this point. Sort of temperature sort of gauge there. So really, yeah, we are still quite sort of hot there. Like I said, I've said this many, many times now. It's more, are we seeing a difference here between the last test we did and this test? Obviously, like I said, this sort of flicker of wherever it is, the heat sort of temperature thing. Obviously, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, you're not going to get a very clear result here, Matt, because of obviously the glass. But the main thing is we want to know is, are we getting a difference in heat? And also, what about the actual benchmark score? Now, that benchmark score is very similar to when we just did a test, when we started the test at 1% battery, when we were on 17.02. But also, it's quite interesting here to have a look at that. The test is over. We're still only feeding in around about 8-10 watts there, as you can see. And then also, the battery's only at 18%. When we did this test last time on iOS 17.02, we were already like at 21%, weren't we? So we're about 3% behind here. So that is quite interesting on the first run. So you can imagine what we're going to do. We're actually going to close this down now, and we're going to actually restart the test again, because at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of you guys say that it actually is around about sort of 20% sort of plus sort of time that we actually get sort of a really a lot of heat going into the battery, and that the benchmark is probably best to run around then. So I'm just going to wait for this to actually hit 20% charge, and then we'll start Antutu again. So then that didn't take long at all. We're at 21% battery here at the top, as you can see. And what's being pumped in right at the moment is still 24 watts of electricity. Well, it's a fair bit at this point, 25 watts. I think it's pumping in more because obviously we're not running the benchmark anymore. And obviously I think there is something going on in the background here with Apple that they know that if you're pushing the A17 Pro to its extreme, like with the benchmarking tool and also charging, there is something going on to regulate that. But obviously it's the heat itself. We want to see how high that really gets. So let's open up the benchmark again. And what we're going to do is we hit 22% there. So that's me yabbering on. But let's just have a quick look at the heat right now before we actually start the test. We're still at 40 degrees there. So yeah, not the best sort of thing going on really, I'm going to say. But let's start the test again, if I can get it started. There we go. Finally got it started. So the battery has gone up to 23%. You just saw it just there. And we're going to let this run a little bit. And like I said, we'll get to that certain part in this graphic sort of part of test, because that's where it looks like it is the hottest at that point. So yeah, we'll see what's going on there. But at the moment, I can just see down here, we're still at 24, 25 watts being fed in at the moment. Okay, guys, here we are again at that stage into the video. I just want to show you first. Oh, whoa, that is warm. I am going to say that. We're at 8 watts coming in at the moment. That is hot there. Really warm there. Let's quickly get a recording then. Let's see how hot this is. It's not going to be good, I bet. Oh my goodness, look at that, guys. Look, 47 degrees still. That is no different at all, really. I don't know what you're saying, Apple, that you're fixing these problems, but that, I think we've shown the proof there, and we're still going up there, 47.2. It's not made any difference. This hasn't, I don't think. Like I said to you guys before, obviously, yeah, the phone has been basically used already to do a test once before. We're doing a test again, but we did this on iOS 17.02 as well. And this is the point. Apple is saying they've done something to actually make it not go as hot as iOS 17.02. Like I said, if you guys don't believe that this is giving, the best reading, it might be 42 degrees instead, or maybe it's even 50 degrees. I don't know. The point is the difference between both the tests, there is not much in it. They're basically about the same. I cannot really see what is the difference here. But anyway, we'll let the test continue on here. And basically, yeah, we'll see what goes on. Like I said, I'll get it up to around about the sort of 90% sort of area, sort of the test. And we'll do another heat test again. And we'll see how much wattage is going in. And just on that, guys, we're down to 5 watts of electricity. In fact, do you know something? I just want to do another test again just to see. I know I didn't do this on the other test, but I just want to see, yeah. Collaborating there, it's still 46, 47 sort of degrees there. It's still really hot, definitely. I cannot see any changes, but let's see. So here we are again, guys. We're at 90% there. I think you might have just seen it flash. Just want to tell you here, there you go, 92%. We've only got 3, 6, 10 watts, 9 watts of electricity coming in. It's not a lot, but let's now see then basically how hot this iPhone is. For the last time, it's still 46 degrees. It's still very, very warm on that one. We just had 46 on that one. We'll see if I can catch it again. But basically, yeah, 46 degrees was still really, really hot. And yeah, to me, I cannot see how this update has basically fixed this at all. It just seems like it's the same temperature completely, really. There's not much differences. It's going to be interesting to see now what the benchmark score will come out. Because like I said, the first time we had a 15, we had a 14. We just had a 14 again. So let's see then if it has been lowered ever so slightly. And the answer to that is no, it hasn't. So the benchmark is very similar. So Apple, it doesn't seem like have actually reduced down the CPU power and things like this, or any of the cores or anything like that. So that is a positive, definitely. But for everything else, so for the heat, well, you can see the proof there, how hot it's got. And there we go, just to show you guys one last time, we're at 29% battery charged. And yeah, we're still only getting 5 watts or so electricity coming into this iPhone. So yeah, I'm just to let you know, guys, it is quite warm on the back there. So yeah, that is pretty unusual. And there we have it, guys. To be honest, I'm going to say I'm quite disappointed. I cannot actually believe there's no difference here. You've seen it yourself. Really, it hasn't solved any of the heating issues. We're getting about the same temperature here. No kind of drop in 5, 6 degrees in temperature or anything like that, or even say 3 or 4. It's exactly the same. We're getting as hot as we were before. Obviously, I've done the tests basically the same as you've seen again, where we tested from 6% to sort of about 20%, and then sort of 21% and beyond as well. And we used the same charger. Everything was the same iPhone. Yet, I can't really see any differences. And just in case people are going, oh, you didn't restart your phone, when you install iOS 17.03, it doesn't automatically restart anyway during that process. So yeah, anything like that would have been cleared away. I am going to say, I hate to say it, I don't think iOS 17.03 has actually fixed this problem at all. I think we're still going to get the same sort of heating issues that we have right now. So, I think maybe Apple, you need to recheck what you've done here and see if it fixes it. Obviously, again, I will say I didn't test out Instagram, and a lot of people saying Instagram is the main cause of the problem here. But just general heating up of the iPhone, of charging and pushing it to its limit, as you've just seen, well, actually, yeah, there is no difference here. And I will say this again, it does get quite toasty and quite hot. You sort of got about 47 degrees. And I think this is literally the hottest you can get with this iPhone. And in fact, I would say personally, it should only probably get into about, say, 44 maximum. But yet still, it only gets to, as you've seen, gets to 47, what is a bit sad to see. All I'll say is, with the iPhone 16, we're hoping for a brand new design anyway. And with that, I'm hoping, Apple introduce maybe a vapor system or a new way to keep, the A18 Pro by then to be cooler. Fingers crossed for that, because I think this is the absolute limit as how hot this phone can go. But I guess on one positive is that with this new fix, if we can call it that, it hasn't throttled the benchmarking. As you've seen here on this video, there's no difference there. But with that, I'd also love to know what your thoughts as well. Do you think that there is any fixes? Do you think there are any changes? Like I said, this video is not about basically what equipment I used. I tried to make the test fair as possible and comparing two different things to see if there's differences. Obviously, like I said, it said 47 degrees. It might have been 51 for all I know with my actual machine if I'd used a different machine or tested it in a different area, maybe not on the glass or what like that. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And I have to say on this sad note, yeah, it's time to wrap up this video and hopefully Apple will sort this up. And if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button. And also at the same time as well, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews, comparisons like you've seen today, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I'll see you really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.